Good morning, welcome to this 6th video following my progress as I build a Hazel Longbow. Today I'm working on the stave, refining the shape to allow for the contours, the dips and the bumps which I have to reproduce on the belly. So my next job is to mark guidelines on the sides of this bow from the tips to the handle, following the contours of the back of the bow at the dimensions I'm aiming for. The amount of wood I've now got to remove is quite small, measured in millimetres, so I'm using a rasp very carefully as I work down this stave, very close now to the final dimensions that I'm aiming for. I want this bow to have a cross-sectional profile a bit like a squashed rectangle. I've got a very flat belly on it, but also it's very slab-sided. So I'm now rounding the corners using a rasp to try and get that sort of squash box shape. Now rasps leave deep tool marks in the wood, so I'm removing those with sandpaper. And any more wood that comes off this bow as I tiller it will be taken off with either a cabinet scraper or sandpaper. Only tiny amounts will come off from this point. A cabinet scraper, just a flat piece of metal with a burr on one edge. Terrific for smoothing out bow staves. So here's the work so far. This, just 8 weeks ago, was a growing hazel tree. Now it's a bow stave. In the middle, its depth is about 34mm, and across its back it's about 36mm, and it tapers down to around about 14mm at the tips. More wood will come off piece by piece as I tiller the bow, but I think I'm now ready for the next stage. So what is the next stage? This is the hazel bow I made last year, and this is the new one, and you can see the remarkable colour difference between the two. It's because this one has been heat treated. That is, I've used a heat source all the way along the entire length of the belly, and I've toasted it to this deep chestnutty colour. In fact, I went a bit too far just here, as you can see, and it's almost black, but it gives this bow a rather mean looking appearance. On top of that, it adds a few pounds in draw weight. So the next stage for this bow is just that, heat treating. To get from that to this, I use one of these. This particular heat gun is rated at 2000 watts. Most heat guns are supplied with directional nozzles, and I used one of these. This is the only bow I've ever heat treated, so it was an experiment, but I'm going to repeat the technique that I used on this bow on the new bow. So what I did was to position the nozzle of the heat gun about 4 inches away from the belly surface, that is 100mm. I moved it along the entire length of the belly in 75mm, that is 3-inch increments, and at each position I left the heat gun running for about 10 minutes. The only thing I'm going to do different on this bow is reduce the duration that the heat gun is running on each position down to 8 minutes. Now I'm quite sure this process could be accelerated. It would be possible to channel the heat along the bow's belly, speeding up the process. Also, I could suspend it over an open fire. but I'm using what I've got and I'm going to see how I get on.
It takes a long time to do this.
I think that gives me some time for a bit of garden archery. So that's half the stave heat treated. You can perhaps see the change from the wood that's not been heat treated to this, which has. Much paler than my last bow. Not sure I like it. So that's it. The entire belly has been heat treated on this Hazel Longbow. So now I'm going to leave this bow for 2 to 3 days to rehydrate, and then I'll start the process of tillering. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time when I'll begin to bend this Hazel Longbow.